Hello everyone. My name is Ian Brewer. I am the EDI Community Development Lead here at BDCU Credit Union. We've got a great program for you today. I'm not sure how many people will be able to actually come on the session today, but we do have 150 people booked on. Some people have told me they want the recording, but we have 10 different councils around the country that have also joined in very different guises. So this has been very popular and it's gone far and wide. So thank you for everyone who's come on and everyone that's promoting on it. We've got 5 speakers lined up today. We'll be going through them one by one. They'll come on with their cameras, and we'll be able to work at it from there. So we're going to be starting with Dawn Wilkinson from the police. If you want to put questions in the chat, you can, but there will be a Q&A at the end of the session. Great. Okay. Thank you for that. So Dawn, you can share your screen and let's get started.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I think I'm the warm-up act for today. I'm starting. So my name's Dawn Wilkinson. I'm the Principal Crime Prevention Officer with West Yorkshire Police. So I lead for the police on the prevention side of things. You should really have had a lady called Kay, who's the officer who deals with the economic crime side of things, but she's not available today. So you get second prize, you get me. So Ian and I met via a neighbourhood watch conference that we hosted. We're lucky enough in West Yorkshire to still have paid neighbourhood watch officers and crime prevention officers, design out crime officers, licensing officers, and all of us are trained to be fraud ambassadors. So I do have an overview of the fraud side, but what I'm going to do today is just give you an overview of the crime prevention world. So we did technically try this. We'll give it a go. I will see if I can get my PowerPoint up and running. So let me just have a look. I'll just need Ian to shout up.
Yeah, I can see it. You're on the full panel though, so you just need to isolate the one slide.
Right, just bear with. Right, so the share presenting teams doesn't seem to want to do it now after we did it before. So unfortunately, we might just have to do it a slide at a time. It's not the prettiest, but you can see that first slide, can you?
We can indeed.
Okay, right. We'll do it the rubbishy way. So, Dawn Wilkinson, Force Principal Crime Prevention Officer. So, what is crime prevention? And this goes through into the fraud world as well. So it reduces the opportunity for crime to occur. It's not all about locks and bolts, and it doesn't have to take a lot of time or money, and it's everybody's responsibility. So if we look at that in the world of fraud, and as fraud ambassadors, what we're there to do, amongst other things, is to actually spread that word around self-preservation, how not to become a victim of fraud and how to protect yourselves.
Sorry,
so
Dawn, I'm just thinking, would you like me to share your screen? If you stop sharing, I'll share yours and you tell me when you want the next one. Go for it. let me just get it up forward.
As ever, the rehearsals, it worked fine.
It did indeed. I can verify that. Right, here we go. How's that? Is that working for everyone?
Yeah, right. Lovely. Yes. And I'll just say now when I get to the end. Right, so we're on this slide. So, oh no, next slide. We've done that one.
Okay.
Yeah. Next slide, please, Ian. Right, so who are we? No, that one. There we go. Who are we? So we have a number of what we call crime prevention assets. And that includes Kay Bainbridge, who works in Economic Crime Unit, and her world is the fraud world. So all the work we do around fraud ambassadors and the training that we received, that all came from Kay. So who are we? So I have a headquarters strategic team. Every district has crime prevention officers. Every district has neighbourhood watch officers. So there's 3 to cover the force. They all work under me. And we also have designing out crime officers. So the strategic team, what we're there to do is, so I have a strategic look at all acquisitive crime, and we look at where we can add value. So we do the standard stuff, we do the burglary, we do theft from motor vehicle, but we will also look at things such as where can we add value to victims of fraud. One of my other portfolios is retail and business crime. So we'll actually look at that bigger strand of how can we get the message out to businesses to not become victims of fraud. So on the strategic side, we have that overview. Oh, that seems to be, can you just take it back again, Ian? I don't know where that's gone. Back a slide. Right. So that's a strategic team, and we will even look at dealing with businesses. So if you look at something like car crime and keyless crime, we will work with Land Rover and Mercedes around the preventative side of that. Your district crime prevention officers, they will look at what is going on in their own district. So the Leeds ones, Kirklees, Bradford, they will look at patterns of crime, antisocial behaviour, and again, they are trained as fraud ambassadors, so they might get asked if there's a little old lady goes into a bank with 2 burly builders, or she's a bit confused and she's trying to withdraw a load of money or transfer it. They might be asked if they're free to nip down to the bank, and they're trained to actually have a look at that and see if there's any fraud going on. And that's the same for the neighbourhood watch officers, although while they wouldn't nip down to the bank, what they are extremely good at doing is that spreading the word about prevention. So the officers, I have a lady called Bev over in Kirklees, so that's Huddersfield, Dewsbury. The thing I love about Bev is she'll go to the opening of a crisp packet if it means she can sit and talk about how to not become a victim of crime, and she will bang the drum around protecting yourself from becoming a victim of fraud in all its realms, whether that's taking care of your password, not opening links, telephone calls, letters. So they're very good at spreading the message around fraud as well as the general crime prevention. Now, design out crime officers, they're more to do with environmental crime. So they actually spend most of their time looking at buildings and building plans with local authorities, so I won't go too much into them. Next slide, please, Ian. So what do? Visit victims of crime, visit areas that are indicative of crime trends and antisocial behaviour, conduct environmental visual audits. What you might sometimes see is you might see the police out with your local authority or parks people, and they will be going around, they will be looking at where there's vulnerable areas or where we can do things to protect environment. So we have hostile planting. So you might have an area where the kids have been coming through or criminals have been coming through woodland. So, you know, there'll be a suggestion that if you plant big spiky bushes, that's going to help prevent that. We conduct crime prevention roadshows in the community. Before the pandemic, this was a massive thing. So you would have seen us all out in shopping centres, banks. So Leeds, one of the banks in Leeds yesterday had a couple of crime prevention officers down. Again, this was an area where we can talk about fraud. So they'll be talking to customers about how to protect themselves. Widening that neighbourhood watch group. We work in tandem now with National Neighbourhood Watch. Now, if you get the opportunity, go on their website. It has advanced so much in the last 5 to 10 years, but their website has so many toolkits. And the national website, we go and pinch stuff off there because they have dedicated people, especially around things like fraud protection. So that's a really good website to go on, have a look at the toolkits they've got, because we are not going to lock up that many fraudsters. The only way we're going to combat this is by educating and teaching people how not to become a victim of fraud. So it's all about, for us, it's about getting that message out, educating people, getting people to take care of each other, vulnerable relatives, your granny, youngsters. Massive thing around the universities. We go into universities, we go into colleges, talking to the youngsters about how not to be sucked into letting people use their bank accounts and that type of things. As I said before, we work with manufacturers and industry. That's more along the lines of the bigger stuff. Like I say, your vehicle crime, and with the retailers about their infrastructure when they're getting warehouses turned over and stuff. Next slide, please. There you go. So it's a surprise to me because I can't remember what the next slide is. So it's lovely. So for anybody who sort of hasn't looked into the world of how you prevent crime, so these are academics, they're not police people. We're not clever enough to come up with things like this. So we work with criminologists and academics, and they have a look at combating crime. So there's a thing called the routine activity theory. So that crime triangle is all about, what does it take? What's that perfect storm? And this covers any crime. So this covers your fraud as well. So for any crime to occur, you must have a suitable target, because there's got to be something somebody wants. In the cases of fraud, it's usually money, property, or things of value. A lack of a capable guardian. So that means that there's that motivated offender, when we get to that knows that there's a good enough opportunity for them not to be caught committing it, because there aren't those guardianships in place, either through lack of infrastructure, lack of knowledge, or lack of someone taking care of someone else. We know that they tend to prey on vulnerable people. That motivated or likely offender. So within fraud, you tend to have a motivated offender. A likely offender is someone who, yes, does commit crime, but it's usually a bit opportunist. So they might be walking down a road, see a gate open, see a door open, see the owner in the back garden, and take that opportunity, because they've already have a criminal mind to go and steal. Your motivated offender is someone who actually plans that, thinks about it, knows exactly what they're doing. So if you look at that triangle, what we say is you have to take one or two of those things away to stop that opportunity for a crime to occur. So if you protect your target, so if there's no target to go for, well, there you go, there's no point. You take away that motivation of the offender. If there's a capable guardian, which if you look at things like burglary, we've done some studies with offenders in prison, and they really do not like the new Ring doorbell world, because that capable guardian is all over the place, CCTV. But a capable guardian can be someone who has that knowledge. So there's that guardianship. When someone rings up their house on the phone and says, "Oh, I'm from the bank and we just need your details because someone's trying to steal your money," because they already have the knowledge to say nah and hang up, and they already have the knowledge not to use their phone again from that take five, that 5 minutes, we've given them that capable guardianship. Or if it's a vulnerable person, we've put things in place. When my mother-in-law started with dementia, we went to the bank with her, explained the situation, doctors noticed, they put things in place so that nobody else other than, well, it was just my wife, her daughter at the time, when she was still alive, could have anything to do with her bank account. So capable guardians, and obviously the motivated offender. So that's either they're in prison, or we do the offender management side of things to change their offending behaviour. So like I say, academics came up with that, and it's really good. We use it all the time. Next slide, please.
4 minutes.
Yeah. So we work towards the 10 principles of crime prevention with the public. There are 25, but that's more of an internal thing. So if you look at these 10 principles, that pretty much covers everything. So if you look at rule setting, that is when we talk about things like passwords. Access control, again, you can put that into people putting things in safes and banks. So a lot of those are more around the target hardening to stop people getting into buildings, removing the means of crime. So that's where we kind of try and educate people in the realms of crime prevention. But they're the 10 principles that we go by. And this bottom one here, the deflected offenders, that's where we work with the probation services and the justice people to have a look at how we can change the behaviour of offenders. Next slide, but I think that might be the last one. All right, terminology, go on, Geoffrey, just put all them up. Right, so this one's in there about how we actually look at the structure of crime prevention. So we have a primary prevention, so that's preventing the problem occurring in the first place. Secondary prevention, problems are already here, but we then look at ways to protect vulnerable people or look at people who are on the cusp of getting involved in crime. And the tertiary prevention, well, it's already here. We already know there's a future. We already know that students are vulnerable to becoming offenders through being sucked into letting people use their bank accounts. So this is where we need to, before people start at university, go and speak to them. Same with the loans that they get, student loans. We go and speak to them to try and give them some knowledge on how not to become a victim of fraud around those circumstances. So a bit of a whistle stop there, but that's kind of the wider world of crime prevention. I know, Ian, are you waiting till the end to get questions?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much. That is parts of my world with a bit of fraud thrown in.
Thank you very much for that. And Dawn, it's great to have met you, and thank you very much for coming on. We really do appreciate that. Okay, so we're going to move on to Aidan, and you're going to be sharing your loan shark presentation.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Aidan Weller. I'm going to attempt to do an awareness raising session in 15 minutes, which normally takes me around an hour to an hour and a half. So it's going to be very quick and hopefully a bit of an overview. I've already spotted some familiar faces on the delegates, so some of you will have seen some of this before. However, it is literally hot off the press, so they say. We've got some news clips from as being featured on ITN News just the other week. Just bear with me whilst my presentation loads up. So is that all coming across okay, Ian?
Yeah.
So yeah, as you can see, my name's Aidan Weller. I'm a liaison officer for the England Illegal Money Lending Team. Otherwise known at the top, as you can see, we're gradually having a rebrand of moving away from the illegal money lending team. That was a bit of a rubbish name because it implies that we do the illegal money lending when actually we do the opposite. So we are phasing in Stop Loan Sharks. Just to give you a very brief kind of overview, we're a national government funded agency. We've been operating for 20 years. I've worked for the team for around 15 years now. I cover nearly all of West Yorkshire apart from Leeds. My colleague Trish covers Leeds. And I also cover Lancashire, East Riding and North Yorkshire. So anyone that reports being the victim of a loan shark in those areas will eventually come to me. And I do support work and the process of going through the criminal justice. And whatever kind of support that needs. So this is very much about you getting to know a bit about me, but I also need to know who you guys are because I need to be aware of local services I need to be aware of what support is out there, because as you can imagine, we get a complex variety of needs with borrowers from loan sharks. And when I'm not doing victim support work, I'm doing this. I'm banging the drum and doing campaigning and training and awareness raising. So some of you will know this, some of you may not. It's really important to know what the definition of a loan shark is. This is a screen grab from the FCA, Financial Conduct Authority website. And it's just really important to know that we're not interested in payday lenders. We're not interested in people that advertise on television. We're talking about the really, really immoral, inscrutable, and bankrupt morally, unlicensed lenders. These are the people that operate in communities. So not many people know. It's my dream that everyone in England knew that if you borrow money from someone that doesn't have a license, you don't actually have to pay them back. That money is not enforceable as debt if someone does not have the license to lend. In order to meet the criteria of being a loan shark, you do have to lend to more than 2 people, and you do have to charge interest. And we have to prove that it's, the motivation is profiteering. But you can imagine the kind of conversations I have with people. Sometimes they've been paying someone back for years and years. And when I actually say to them, you didn't have to pay a penny. It's huge, some of the sums that we see within West Yorkshire not too long ago. Still gets me every time that I look at it. The idea that a young child can be having to hide when someone comes and bangs on the door, witnessing mum and dad being in a horrible state, being scared. And over 65% of our victims year in have at least one child in the house. So we can measure in money the amount of impact it has on the borrowers that come forward, but we can never measure the impact that it has on children and on families and on their ability to just live normal, straightforward lives. So as promised, this is a brief clip. It's only a couple of minutes long. We're on ITV News. It's part of a new national initiative that we're doing called Help You Make the Call. And we're asking our partners, I know I'm in conversations with a few people on this call about having dedicated centres where people maybe don't feel that they can ring our hotline on their own. They maybe want to come to a safe space. And it attracted national news attention. So I think as well, just obviously I've given you some context about Richard Dawson. It's really good to just see the other side of what happens when we do take action.
In the early hours of the morning, a team of police officers and financial crime investigators are on an operation which has taken months of evidence gathering. The target, the home of a suspected loan shark, allegedly operating under the radar for years. Yeah. Police officer! The suspect was escorted to an ambulance as a precaution to check on a health issue before being later arrested and bailed under investigation. Loan sharks can operate anywhere. They're bedded well within our communities and often find themselves on even unassuming streets like this one. And as times get tougher with a cost of living crisis, they're becoming more prevalent than ever. Among the evidence seized, tens of thousands of pounds in pristine notes, which could have been primed for potential customers.
So here we've got an envelope that was just on the side in one of the rooms. As you can see, there's a significant amount of cash.
What happens to these individuals if they can't pay that money back?
Well, that's pretty much down to the loan shark. They'll increase more penalties, add more money onto the loans, or whether they look at alternative means. It may be that they're threatened with physical violence. It may be that they're asked to engage in criminality themselves to pay back the penalty for a loan. It can be a variety of different things that people are forced into doing. We appreciate it's really difficult for some of the people that have borrowed from loan sharks to come forward. They're fearful for their own safety. Sometimes they believe that they could get in trouble themselves for actually borrowing the money, which is not the case at all. You know, loan sharks are bad people. They are criminals. They are operating a criminal activity.
It's thought more than 1 million people could currently be in debt to a loan shark. And some organisations like Citizens Advice in Staffordshire and Dudley are offering confidential drop-in advice to find help for those caught in a repayment trap.
So what we see with illegal money lenders, quite often they'll pretend to be your friend, and they will be your friend, be your best friend while you are paying them back. And that might be someone down the pub, someone at the school gates, someone they work with, someone they met online. And it's a loan that people think is to help them out. Possibly no mention of interest. We've evidenced APRs in excess of 130,000%. I've personally worked with people who've borrowed back hundreds of pounds and paid back tens of thousands on that loan. And you don't get to pay them off. That loan's a hook. And then they just use that to extort money out of you.
Nick Smith, ITV News.
So there you go. There's a bit of fresh off the press kind of newsreels, and I think it's really important that we share those stories, because sometimes when I'm doing training, people say, "Oh, you should have a national press campaign. You know, you should put stuff on social media." And I would say, "We're literally on the news," But that kind of footage that you saw is happening all across the country. You know, we're active all across West Yorkshire and Lancashire and North Yorkshire. We've always got investigations on the go. But, you know, sometimes we're only as good as our partners, and, you know, we need to know what's happening. We need to have those eyes and ears. As you can see there, you know, we do work closely with Ian at Bradford Credit Union, and we do refer a lot of our victims to credit union and promote them as a safe, legal option for building up credit and for borrowing money. And also, you know, we do take the money off loan sharks when they are found guilty and prosecuted. We do take the money and we do give it back, some of it to good causes, and some of the things you can see on the screens there. I know some of you are very familiar with Sid the Shark or Glenda the Lender. So just finishing up, you know, it's a very quick glimpse into the world of loan sharking. If you do find it interesting, or if you think that you would like to know more, you can contact me, and I'm happy to provide the full awareness raising session. I prefer to come and meet you and see where you are and get to know you, because it's good for me. But if your team doesn't work that way, then I can do it online. But apart from that as well, we have all of our resources. As I said, you know, if you do want to dress up like a shark, I can make that happen for you. We have lots of resources. We're on social media. We've got a YouTube channel. We can send flyers and posters out. We have a Partner Plus recognition scheme that gets national media and press attention. We'll do campaigns with you if you're having a celebration day, if you're doing a door knock. You know, we very much want to work alongside you, and we want you to work alongside us. Now, just to confuse you all completely, I was actually brought up in the Midlands, lived in Yorkshire for a long time, and now in Lancashire. My email address says Birmingham. I'm not from Birmingham. I'm not based in Birmingham. Our whole team is hosted by Birmingham City Council, so we all have that email address. But please do feel free to contact me about any of the content of the presentation today. Other than that, I will be around for questions at the end. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll eventually stop sharing my screen so that the next person get on. Thank you, everyone.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate that, Aidan, and yes, great working with you, and appreciate the work that you do. Okay, so we got two presentations from related to gambling. So Richard, I believe you're going to go first, and then there'll be Jimmy. If you guys can manage your time carefully with this, I really appreciate it. Great, Richard.
Thanks, Ian. And Jimmy in the background, I'll try to keep to 5 minutes for you. I'll share my screen. And let's get it from the beginning. So afternoon, everyone, on Talk Money Week. Pleasure to come along and speak, particularly to have an open conversation around gambling and gambling harms. And I'm Richard Porter, a senior public health specialist in Bradford Council, the public health team. I'm in a small team called Alcohol and Drugs and Vulnerable Groups team, very snappy. And part of my work is based on gambling related harm. Now, depending on the makeup of those in the audience today, some of you might be directly working with individuals who are who have described that they're having issues around gambling and harm. But we do have in Bradford District a multi-agency group been around for a number of years now. I've been the chairship for a couple of years, taking the chairship from a colleague. And basically just around about the impact of reducing the impact of gambling related harm throughout the district. And the main things is around raising awareness and promoting the available support. And we've got 4 things that we're particularly looking to do as a multidisciplinary group. And we can see those on screen. And I'll come on to some of the work that we have done in the most recent period. I mean, the scale of gambling harm, I guess, is a poignant one to discuss on Talk Money Week. This is only a little bit of a snippet of information that I just wanted to share on screen, things that might be pertinent and resonant to other individuals on the call today, that half of adults had participated in gambling related harm in the last 12 months. And of the methods of gambling, national lottery tickets are still the most common activity. And I think in terms of what's going on TV, bringing back It Could Be You advertisement sort of brings back memories where the national lottery was a big deal years ago. And again, we've got information around about that online gambling is starting to now to become a real area of risk for individuals across Bradford, but up and down the country. And in terms of, we have a 1.44 million adults addicted to gambling in the UK. And furthermore, that in terms of our children and young people, that we've got 1 in 8 between 11 and 16 who also follow a gambling company on social media. In terms of money, it's a huge profitable industry. We can see that 14.2 billion back in 2020 was the biggest gambling market in the UK and across the world. In terms of the yield, the income, we can see that we've got the high number, so 15.6 billion income in terms of the gambling industry, and that's been increasing year on year. Economic costs and the unfortunate economic costs around gambling related harm are clearly laid out. Annual access to government is 4.30 million, while the wilder social costs are calculated between 635 million to 1.35 billion. So we've just got to combine 1.77 billion in terms of those wider social economical costs. We've got detail on the costs and the breakdown on casinos, betting and the bingo sector, in particular online casino games. And we can see that the numbers are just huge. And I think the point that for the Bradford district, beyond the scale, beyond the economic cost into our district, that we have a potentially around about just over 16,000 individuals we estimate to be experiencing gambling related harm, and that for us is the second highest rate in the region, following Leeds. And in Bradford, we've got an estimated number of children living in the same household as an adult who may have support needs is around just over 10,000. And I think those are the 2 figures that I always stick into the back of my mind in the work that we do.
Richard, you're 7 minutes in.
Yep, and a number of harms. We can enlist financial, relationship, mental health, criminal justice. And what we have been doing in Bradford has been previous campaigns. We've done educational sessions in schools, and we've worked closely with licensing and harm. But what we've got coming ahead, which will give the opportunity in the room, is we've got some training to come in for Bradford for professionals. We've got a further campaign to come in the new year. And we're just about to start a new youth education service that will be going into schools, both primary and secondary, for the Bradford district. And there's lots of help available from Gambling Understood. Have a look at the NHS website that I put online, and there's things that can help people around blocking and self-exclusion. But I'll give more to Jimmy from NECCA, who can talk a little bit more about.
Thank you.
There we go. There we go, Jimmy.
Yeah, she's in a meeting.
Can you mute yourself if you're not presenting, please? Thanks, Richard.
Ian, do it.
You're
Yeah,
up, Jimmy?
I'll hand over to Jimmy.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for having me on the call. I'll just get my presentation up now and make sure I can share it okay. You'll all be pleased to know that I've condensed mine down from 27 slides to 12 slides. So as I say, hopefully that's going to work for everybody. Can I just make sure you can all see that?
We can.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So my name is Jimmy. I'm the Community and Development Engagement Manager for the Northeast of England, Yorkshire and Humberside. And obviously I work for NECCA, and in a venue which is, I've been at an event today, and they're closing the venue at 2 o'clock, and I can see everybody closing up around me. So as I say, I'm going to keep this short and sweet for everybody, which I'm sure you'll be quite happy about. So NECCA services. So our core service, we've got two different services really. We've got a core service, which is where we're a key provider of gambling prevention support and treatment services across the North East Yorkshire and the Humber region. Over 20 years delivering gambling services. So anybody that's presenting with gambling-related harms, as well as anyone who may be affected by someone else's gambling, an affected other, is who we would look to engage with and support. So as I say, I head up the engagement team. So the role of this team is the promotion of the service provision across basically making sure that the referral pathways and gambling related harms questions are embedded within organisational practices across both of the regions. The team obviously will support organisations and individuals to implement these. The engagement team also work and support any gambling-related harms champions, which I'll come to, and their organisations. And as I say, we have also empowering youth, which is predominantly a Northeast thing, and that's for 10 to 25-year-olds age group. And that's, again, support around gambling-related harms in young people. And we also offer CPD accredited training to anyone working with or supporting young people, as well as parents, carers across the Northeast region. So as far as referral information is concerned, I think Richard may have touched briefly on this prior to me. So there's some generic information with regard to referring for harmful levels of gambling and gaming with young people, National Centre for Gaming Disorders, Childline website, National Problem Gambling Clinic, and contact details there as well. So core service information for NECCA, which is what I represent. So as you can see there, you've got contact details for both the Northeast and for the Yorkshire and Humber regions, as well as our website, as well as the QR code as well, which will take you to a very self-explanatory referral form. So essentially, this is kind of like a flow chart of what people will expect from having referred. So as you can see, the referral comes into NECCA, such as an external referral from a GP, from a self-referral from the individual, or from an individual's family member or somebody that they know that may have referred in. And also we get referrals from the National Gambling Helpline. So as you can see, the triaging assessment is usually that the service user will be contacted within 24 to 48 hours to complete an initial assessment. Referrals to external services partnerships might be made with consent according to need. From that triaging assessment, we'll offer them an appointment, usually within a week of referrals. We're very lucky in as much as that we don't have major waiting lists for our support. So we offer either face-to-face, telephone, or indeed a virtual through Teams or Zoom, whatever the individual prefers. A variety of individualized support options are available, including PSI, so psychosocial intervention, support groups, signposting, extended brief interventions, care coordination, and relapse prevention. And then support, once completed, we offer service users ongoing appointments with regular reviews, and once discharged from our service, will receive 3, 6 and 12 months follow-up with the option to contact NECCA for further support at any time. And as you can see there, you've got, again, how to refer, both phone numbers and QR code, as well as website at the bottom of that slide there. I'm just going to skip through that one because I imagine most people on the call may not be in the northeast. I'm imagining most people might be sort of Bradford, Yorkshire, and the surrounding areas. But essentially, what we try and do is we try and establish people to become a gambling champion. I suppose a bit like a first aider, a bit like a fire marshal, like you may have within your organisation or your department. So we provide a fully funded confidential prevention and support service, offering advice, tailored support, awareness sessions to professionals and the wider community groups. And we aim to increase awareness of gambling-related harms and the support that is available to anyone affected. And again, you can see an email address if anybody who's interested in becoming a champion, and a QR code which you can scan for further information about that as well. And so just a little bit of an explanation of what a champion is. It's as a gambling-related harm champion, you'll be the point of contact within your organisation. So you'll be equipped with resources to support you and your organisation. And then the next steps would be to promote your commitment. We would display with your permission and your organisation's logo and provide you with the following. So you get a champion pack, you get a designated contact as one of our champions, monthly champions bulletins, networking events. We'll keep you aware of what's going on. And as I say, you can see some of the organisations that we already linked in with across both regions, and we're always keen to get more and more people on board and become gambling champions with us. If you do have any questions, please do pop them on a Teams message to me, or you can see there's an info@NECCA email address there, and information will be passed on to the appropriate team. But as I say, by all means, you can message me directly on Teams also. And I think, yeah, that's it. That's from me. So value working in partnership with you and your organisation, and hopefully that's kept it nice within the parameters of timescales. And thank you for your attention, everybody. And that's it, Ian. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jimmy. Fantastic for that. Great. Okay, so let's do this. Excellent, thank you. Right, so I've stopped being able to see everybody. So thank you again. My name's Ian Brewer. I have the privilege of working with everybody that's been working on this webinar, and we're in the middle of Talk Money Week this week, and we were with Jimmy just yesterday at Bradford University. So nice working with you, Jimmy, and everybody else on the call. Could I just ask that all the speakers, can you put your emails into the chat, please, so people can ask you directly or ask you for further information? There was a question around the presentations. Can we send the presentations out? They're very large. It doesn't work so well. So I will be sending out the recording, and I'll be doing the recording on that. And you can email the individuals if you want to get their individual presentations. Right. Okay. Without further ado, we've had a stonking year this year with winning 4 different awards for Apprentice of the Year, Mentor of the Year, Yorkshire Lender of the Year, and Regional Apprentice of the Year. Something we're very proud of, but particularly the lending one. Katie's also on here with me, our CEO. She'll introduce herself shortly. She'll be doing the next slide. But my background is international community development, and I lead on the partnerships and develop projects that tackle the poverty, do the fundraising and the projects around it. So you will find that we're a very unusual credit union in the way that we go, because we've gone down the community development route, and we do that very, very well. And we have a lot of partners, such as people on here at the moment. I'm going to hand over to Katie at this point.
Afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for being here today, and to our guest speakers for the time and the important messages in and around Talk Money Week. And thank you, of course, our own Ian Brewer for coordinating our renowned Talk Money Week event. We are very proud at BDCU to talk about money and how we work and support with all money matters across our communities, and in particular with our members, a lot of which are vulnerable. And just to start with a few key highlights as to how we do this. So BDCU has seen some significant growth over the last few years, certainly as we have emerged from the pandemic out into the cost of living crisis, with many people struggling and impacted by this, which we still continue to see today. We've been able to support thousands of people with safe and ethical borrowing, as well as introducing savings habits at these tough and challenging times. And it's from this that we have been recognised as Lender of the Year this year for our community reach and impact, and also finalists for Best Credit Union North. More importantly, to be rated 4.75 out of 5 by our members, as it's their comments and feedback that make us feel most proud of what we do here, but also learn about what more we need to do to support. We are a highly recognised partner of choice with potential funding initiatives, as we do what we say we're going to do, and we've secured a significant amount of funding over the last 3 years. Hopefully some of you will have seen some of the great work that we've already been able to do to produce, and we've worked alongside some excellent pilot lending and saving initiatives to hundreds of members, addressing financial inclusion as well as financial exclusion, taking learnings from our data profiling that recognises the average reading and understanding age of finance and money matters is as low as 7 years of age. It can certainly put a lot of things into perspective, certainly as we hear some of the other messages and stories of speakers that have already been on. Something that makes me smile, our apprenticeship scheme supported by Bradford College is something I cannot emphasise enough our support of, and encourage more organisations to offer these. A big shout out to Bradford College. We certainly recognise the potential of the upcoming generation and feel we take on an important role of their future development, but we also create that awareness with what we do here at BDCU and the importance of everything money and associated matters, which are often overlooked. And so, as Ian has already alluded to, we've had 2 award-winning apprentices this year, an award-winning mentor, which of course is the one and only Ian Brewer on this session today, and is why we're very pleased and proud to be able to shout about it. And so this is why we are an award-winning community development credit union. We do incorporate the broader financial matters, which includes education and well-being, into everything we do. You know, we believe money and health matter to us all, and that's why it's important for us to hold these sessions. On to you, Ian, for the next slide.
Thank you, Katie. Fantastic. Right, so the rest of the presentation I'm just going to rattle through to give you a bit of an idea of where we are. So our history, it started back in 1993. The story goes of the recession of the early 90s. Staff at Bradford Council couldn't get loans from their bank due to the credit crunch. They were speaking to HR. HR decided to set up a credit union. And in that case, it meant that staff could save into a pot and then borrow out of that pot. It was a peer-to-peer lending, if you will. 2005 in communities, if people know, the Housing Association was set up, and when the housing stock moved to them, a lot of staff did too. We became a district-wide credit union at that point. 2 things happened in 2016, which was a game changer. The first was we were one of the first credit unions to offer online banking. We now have a smartphone app where people can check their balance and move their money out of their account to another account of their choice. And that's how 95% of our people make their withdrawals. The other thing, if people cast their mind back to 2016, the rise of the payday lender and the loan shark. We heard about loan sharks today, but payday lenders to Wonga were charging up to 4,000% APR. at the time, eye-watering, and the council wanted somebody to work in the community to do that. They didn't want to have that at the council. They decided to fund that at the credit union, and so that's how I came to join back in 2016. 2019, the government came to us to ask us to extend to Kirklees to the south and Craven to the north. So we cover a corridor from Huddersfield up to Skipton and 1.5 million people. What's interesting is looking at the membership growth. We were 3,000 members when I joined. We're well over 11,000 members now. We're over 1,000 members a year that we've been adding in organic growth. Of those people, about 3,000 people are financially excluded members, couldn't get a bank account anywhere else, couldn't get low-cost lending anywhere else. And something we were particularly proud of is our faith-friendly ethical savings. We're working with the Muslim Lord Mayor this year, and we've relaunched our faith-friendly savings because we, as credit unions, we pay a dividend on our savings, not a set interest, which is halal for people from a Muslim background. In the real world, I ask people how much 11,000 people might save, and I wonder how much you might put that figure on. Your average guess is between 100,000 and a million. Well, I'm really glad you're sitting down today because we look after a staggering £6.5 million for our 11,000 members, something we're extremely proud of. We couldn't do this with our workforce savings, and the stats are there of people that struggle even in work. But what we do is we help with the financial well-being with 34 companies, 4,000 staff save and borrow through us. Staff save around about 3.6 million and borrow 2.4 million. And that all our loans build credit scores alongside their savings. So that's really important because the payroll savings gives us a strong and stable side of the business that allows us to lend to people that banks wouldn't touch with a barge pole. We have a number of partners. The Money Helper from the Money and Pension Service that is sponsoring Talk Money Week every year. We work closely with them, do a lot around pension understanding. NECCA, who you've heard from today, Mind in Bradford, and the mental health charities that we work with, as well as with Aidan and the Stop Loan Shark team. What gets me out of bed every morning is the projects that we do. This is where we depart from your average credit union, and we're very successful in raising funds and working in co-partnership and co-design with organisations. We never do these things in isolation. They're always with an organisation that we do that with. Financial education first up. I did 7 years at HSBC Bank as well as my community development background, and I realised that when I joined the credit union, using certain words like credit and union didn't really cut through. I needed to try and find a way of explaining it. So I used my banking experience to talk about things like APR, payday lenders, what a loan shark is, explaining what contactless is. Contactless was a cynical attempt by the banks to make people lose track of money for the one reason only, is to get people into overdrafts, where the banks make more money off overdraft debt than they do off many of their other products. And then explain what the all-important credit score is, and then explain what the credit union is. This is a 1 hour free workshop. If anybody's interested in that, just reach out to me and I can do that with your organisations. Over 500 people from statutory, NHS, council, I've trained at the Train the Trainer workshop. Some of the photos of things that we've done in the past. Also working and training with the apprentices and the staff and volunteers for BD25 with City of Culture this year. We've been working a lot with them with it. And then coming on to some of our flagship projects. Food Savers is particularly one. Julie Thompson, not sure she's on the call today. Julie's a good friend. We've known each other for years. And she came up with the idea of having a pantry system. She was already supplying food banks with food, and she realised that it was teaching people food is free and giving them food that they may not necessarily want, and what we could do about that. So she came up with the idea of having a pantry idea, corner shop experience, if you will. People come in, they choose the food they want, they fill a bag, they pay £6. £1 of that goes into the credit union. What we're seeing is a great behaviour change, because people then have a safe place to put their money, and they're bringing that from under the mattress, out the shoe boxes, and they're bringing it down to the credit union. The results that we've got, if we've got 21 pantries, we've got 950 savers, with saving a total of £67,000. These are all in areas of poverty where people wouldn't normally even get the opportunity to save. And in churches are involved in a West Yorkshire rollout, something we're extremely proud of, partnering. Working with Cheryl, I know Cheryl's on the call today, and working with Dalton together, an area in Kirklees of high deprivation. They got a £400,000 lottery bid over 3 years, which we were part of, and we're going to be delivering Money SOS, capacity building and financial education across the Dalton and Ashborough wards in Kirklees. And it's creating a way for us to be able to demonstrate what we can do for the rest of Kirklees as well. And at this point, I'm going to hand back over to Katie.
Yeah, so we referred to the successful funding that we receive in BDCU, and just to put into perspective some of the conversations that we've had in and around financial exclusion. A lot of people can't even get basic bank accounts, let alone be able to borrow. But typically what we do find when we have run these schemes is people do want to learn, they want to be able to understand about credit scores, about the APIs, some of that educational material that we've already looked at, but equally they want to be able to borrow for a purpose, but more importantly, they want to be able to repay. And that's what some of these pilots allow us to be able to see. We anticipated, certainly with one of our schemes, whilst people would typically be able to afford repayments because they didn't necessarily have the financial literacy and understanding the impact of credit scores and what mispayments mean, that we may expect to see higher default rates, or people just not even taking up the scheme or understanding it. The schemes have been hugely successful, hundreds and hundreds of people that we've been able to not only borrow to, they've also been able to secure a savings initiative along with that. But what's been really astounding to us is the default rates have been so low to what we anticipated, but more importantly, people have then been able to go on and borrow in their own right, and because they've been able to build that credit profile, they've been able to understand the responsibility of managing finance, managing the repayments of that, and what that means. And these are the impacts. This is the education. This is around trying to improve financial literacy across our membership. And this is why the initiatives that we partner with, either the Combined Authority, Bradford Council, BCA, CABAD, they've all been run very, very successfully. And so I'm very pleased to say we will be running the scheme again within the next upcoming few months. Back to you, Ian.
Brilliant, thank you for that. So just running through the benefits of a credit union, being able to start saving habit from your wage without missing it, the online, the smartphone banking, the same-day withdrawals, the access to affordable loans that build credit scores, very unique, the Christmas savers, the junior savers, the fact that we're faith-friendly, paying a dividend and not interest on savings, being much more open and diverse, the ethical banking that supports the community, as well as our newsletters and things like that. And that gives me a chance to escape from there and to return back to the main screen. That is excellent. Bear with me. Oh, there we are. Fantastic. So thank you very much for that. Thanks for the opportunity of speaking to you. And we've got Amy then from York University. This is something we're extremely proud of. This is something that Amy and her boss, Kate Pickett, through the Anti-Poverty Coordination Group in Bradford, we met and she came up with this idea of working together with us, and I'm going to let her explain from here. Over to you, Amy.
Super, thanks Ian. I'm just going to share my screen and just check that works okay. Hopefully that's showing all right for everyone. If you could just let me know, Ian, that'd be great.
It is, yeah, we got it.
Super, great. So yeah, thanks for the opportunity to talk as part of Money Week today. I'm not going to speak for all that long, partly because what I'm doing is building very much on what Ian and Katie has just been talking about. So just by way of introduction, I'm Amy. I'm a senior researcher and leader of the Healthy Livelihoods team at the University of York in health sciences, and also have a programme of research called Made in Common, which focuses on highlighting ideas and examples of how we can design out inequality from our economy. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about the collaborative work that we've been doing with BDCU on how community development credit unions in particular can shape public health. So Ian's obviously already given a flavour of the work that credit unions can do, and what I'm going to do is focus in kind of what that then might mean for wellbeing and public health. And surprisingly for me, it's actually one of the first times that this relationship has actually been formally researched. There's not much published evidence about it, so we've been really pleased to have the opportunity to work together with BDCU on this. But it might be worth just saying that when I talk about health, I don't just mean poor health and conditions like anxiety, diabetes and depression. I mean preventing these. So I mean health in a kind of a positive sense. So includes things like having access to things like finance, to housing that's secure, to a good income, and the ability to influence what's happening in our lives. So all of these things kind of give us the capabilities for everyday living, and in the world of health promotion, that is healthy. Okay, so just move on to my next slide. So what have we actually done? Well, we carried out a rapid evidence review, and we've also worked with people that are involved with BDCU across that West Yorkshire footprint that Ian's spoken about, to explore how credit unions can shape wellbeing, communities and living conditions. And a key part of this research involved producing a zine together with people who were involved and we spoke to, so that it was a way to document and share our findings. I'm not sure how many of you listening have actually come across the idea of a zine before, but it's essentially a kind of do-it-yourself magazine or booklet, which can include things like images and words and drawings and collage, and it's often handmade. So what I wanted to do was, in my presentation, use the slides are all showing you pages of the joint zine that we made as part of the research. And just before I move on, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to the amazing local visual artist and facilitator that we worked with in Bradford, Jean McEwen, who was just wonderful. Okay, so what did we find out? So our findings really kind of confirm a vital role for credit unions in public health. So as Ian and Katie have spoken about, they are ethical and fair financial institutions that are owned by their members. When members save together, the savings are pooled to provide affordable loans when people need them at a fair and reasonable rate of interest, which is about prioritising well-being over profit. And credit unions like BDCU also make finance simple and help people learn about financial risks, like organising this webinar today and the Money SOS and training that Ian has spoken about. So they can really help create the financial foundations for good health and also build community wealth, so keeping wealth local rather than kind of, shareholder profits, and underpin therefore a strong local economy. So we found that credit unions can support financial inclusion and stability, including through some of the partnership work that Ian and Katie have spoken about, and the partnership that from the other speakers have spoken about today. And we know from wider public health evidence that strong financial foundations are really, really important for individual and community health. They give people the capability to live well, to feel equal, to be in control of what's happening, and to gain access to other of life's essentials for living well, such as healthy food, a warm home, and things like social connection. And these came out really quite strongly from the people that we spoke with, and in the limited kind of published evidence that we reviewed as part of the work. There's clearly a lot going on this particular slide, and I'm not expecting any of you listening to process everything on here, but I just wanted to give you a flavour of the kind of the topics that came up, so that it kind of sticks in your mind visually. And it's also worth saying that while credit unions are for everyone, they can have a particularly important role in areas where people are living on a low income or in poverty, where, as we've already heard from Aidan and from Ian, access to fair financial services can be really quite difficult. So having a better financial foundation can actually be particularly important for addressing things like stress, mental health, improving family life, where income is a real issue. And credit unions like BDCU often partner, as we've heard, with other organisations, including community organisations like Food Savers, to focus on addressing poverty. And this work helps to connect people into their services, build up that savings, build that financial roots, and build up a credit score. And this can all have a really important role in reducing anxiety and stress about unexpected expenses or debt, which are known triggers of family issues. In the zine that we produced, there's actually a really nice quote from Food Savers of an instance where this kind of really became apparent in one of the sessions that they ran around cooking. So I just wonder whether it might be worth kind of reading it out today. So it says, "Saving saves lives. A man at one of our cooking classes let us know that he felt suicidal after receiving a bill that he just couldn't pay. But with support from Food Savers, was quickly able to access his Food Saver savings of £80 with BDCU, the local credit union." So even small amounts of money can really make a massive difference to people's health and well-being. So basically, I mean, our overall message is we've long understood the impact of social inequality on health. Our work with BDCU really provides new and much needed initial evidence that credit unions are a really practical way to build the financial roots of good health and well-being, and the roots of a fairer economy from local communities up. The zine, and also an accompanying theory of change if you're into evaluation or in a public health field, is now available for everyone to view online or download. This is the link here. And the zine in particular is really intended as a really accessible summary of how credit unions work and the inputs that they can have on health and well-being, so that we hope some of you will have a look and share it on, so that we can perhaps make more people aware of their benefits. That's it from me. Thank you for listening.
Excellent. Wonderful. Excellent. If our speakers can put your video on for us, wherever you may be in the field of people that we've got here. So actually we've rattled through that really, really well. Thank you very much to our speakers for keeping to time. That's quite a feat with all the information that we've been able to give you today. We will be sending out the recording. I'll be sending that out through Eventbrite to you all, certainly by the end of the week. So you'll be able to get that as well. Do speak to the individual speakers if you want their individual presentation. You have to do that as well. Okay, so there was one question from Dorcas. Dorcas, are you with us? Not sure if she is, and I'm not sure if Dawn, you're still with us. Not sure.
Yes, I am.
Fantastic.
Dorcas is here.
Dawn, are you able to answer the question that's in the chat, or Dorcas, do you want to explain a bit further?
Yes.
So that's who deals with stolen identity if it's used for fraud.
Yes.
Right. So if you can prove a fraud, it has to be given a crime. It's usually action fraud that it goes to. If it's within West Yorkshire, like I say, Kay's the mastermind of this, but if it's somewhere in West Yorkshire, and there is
It's in
evidence?
Bradford.
It's in Bradford.
And
Right,
the HMRC has been contacted on behalf of the client, but still they haven't been able to resolve it. Our identity was stolen and used to register a business, and HMRC are asking her to pay tax on what, and she has never owned any business.
Right, so has it been reported as a crime?
It's been going on for almost 3 years or more.
But is there a crime there? Has it been? Does the person have a crime number? Has the police been to see them, taken statements? Has anything like that happened?
I'm not sure, but it's been reported.
Sorry, guys. I'm just going because we're talking.
But I don't know whether any of the presenter can answer it. That was the reason why I put it.
Yeah, no problem at all. If you want to get further into that, Dorcas, the email for Dawn is there. If you want to
send me an email.
further.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Is there anybody else got a question? And do you want to, Louise? Do you want to just unmute since you're here? I know Louise well. Louise? That's fine. Okay, I've just been able to read this. So I think my understanding of Louise's question is, for the pilots that we run, for the people that do default, what is the question? What is the issue for that? So what we do for anybody that's in default, obviously it can affect their credit score, but we're able to work with them to write the debt off as quick as we can. We take that out of funding that we have, and that's one of the reasons why we're able to run programs like this, because we're lending to people with a very subpar credit score, so we're able to take that from the funding. Thank you for that. And Cheryl,
sorry, Ian,
Cheryl, do you want to explain that?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to explain that?
Yeah, no problem. Obviously, there've been fantastic presentations with a lot of information that's been shared. I've got some opportunities coming up where I can share some of your key messages, but I'm just curious if you could just have one thing you wanted me to take away and do today in order to impart some key messages or asks of other staff or partners. What would that be?
What would that be? It's promoting what the credit union is. We're still very unknown, despite all the work that we do. Not enough people know about us. One of the big things that we do, we're a preventative organisation. If we can get people into a savings habit and access to low-cost loans that they can pay back and restore their credit score, that's a very powerful community development organisation that we are. So it's just spreading the word about who we are, enabling more people to join and take the benefits of that organisation that we are.
Thanks, Ian. I know yours well, but I was thinking, what about all the others? So you don't hog all the airspace.
Right, Joyce, regarding BDCU, what interest do you get with savings? I've been saving 2 years now, received information, interested to talk. So as I said at the beginning, Joyce, we are a not-for-profit organisation. So at the end of every financial year, in fact, Katie, are you still on the call with us?
I am, yes.
Katie, would you mind answering that?
What was the question, sorry?
So regarding credit union, do you pay interest with your savings? I've been saving for 2 years now, have not received interest.
So this comes back to our faith-friendly policy, so we don't apply interest to our saving products. What we do, again, as a mutual not-for-profit organisation, is review any surplus at the end of a financial year and should a distribution be made, it will be made via a dividend. So a dividend was processed this financial year, so I believe in March this year. So had you have had a savings account with the credit union, you would have received a dividend in recognition of what that savings balance was.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so there's no other further questions. Does anybody want to unmute themselves and ask a question? I'll give a minute for doing so.
I put it on this is Dorcas from Peacemaker International and Women in Safe Hands.
Wonderful.
In Bradford. We would like the credit union to come and do a presentation to our group in the new year. So, and I've put our
thank you. I would be delighted to do so.
I've put our email, and I will also contact Dawn, because this woman has been suffered for the past few years and it's a concern to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dorcas. Right, so that concludes the presentations for today. I will be putting this recording, and I'll be putting that into and sending that out. Thank you very much for joining us today. Many more people just wanted the recording, so we'll be able to send that out. We already just started working on Safer Internet Day, which is the 10th of February. So if anybody wants to put the 10th of February at 1 o'clock to 2:30, that we're already starting to work with that. And we'll be looking at AI and taking speakers from across West Yorkshire to be able to do that. Could I ask for the speakers, please stay on, and we'll be able to just speak with you afterwards for that. But for everyone else, thank you very much for coming, and thank you.
Thanks, Ian.
No problem.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.